Hello, my name is Cindy Kendall, and I'll be the host for this training. We're going to talk about reconciliations for the annual financial report and some of the other reports that are intermingled. We have broken this training down into multiple segments, so if you are a novice, you can take time to listen to each one of them. If you're a little more seasoned, you may just choose to listen to one segment, perhaps the expenditure segment, because that is the segment that has seen the most changes for this session. Or if you have listened to the entire series and you have to go back to one of them just to listen to it one more time for one more question that you might have, you can do that without spending hours and hours and hours waiting to get up to that point. So with that, let's talk about some of the preparation that you need to have for the reports that are due, because the end of our fiscal year was June 30th. I like to say that we're killing two birds with one stone here, because we have multiple reports, we have multiple deadlines, but they use basically the same information, and many of them must either balance or tie together. What do I mean by that? Let's look at some of the reports that we have that are on our to-do list now that June 30 has passed. The outstanding debt report for the state treasurer's office, that's due in August, and they want to know at the end of the year, June 30, 2018, how much and what kind of debt did your city have? So you'll want to be able to collect all of that information. The next bullet there is GASB 77. GASB stands for the Government Accounting Standards Board. They have a number of statements. In this case, we're talking about statement number 77 that wants us to notify taxing agencies anytime that we are offering or have paid for either an abatement under Iowa Code. Maybe you have a housing abatement program where they don't have to pay their taxes. That means that you are deferring that income. Or perhaps you have an urban renewal plan where you have a rebate agreement where the developer, even though they're generating taxes that you collect, you actually write that developer a check and say, thank you for doing your development. In either case, a notification has to go out to your property tax agencies, the county, the schools, maybe a community college. The Department of Management has a wonderful tool on their website to help you with that. That needs to be done soon after the June 30 deadline, because the other agencies also have to prepare audits and their financial statements, and they need that information from you first. The next bullet is your road use tax report. That one is due September 30th, but you need to have a resolution passed after you finish the report. So you'll have to time that so that the council can pass a resolution after they've reviewed your report. The next one listed there is your annual urban renewal report. Now you can pretty much understand that your urban renewal report and the numbers in it should probably jive or balance with the tax abatement notification. So again, we're collecting all that information at this time of the year, so it's going to be prepared for both of them. But your annual urban renewal report is not due until December 1. So after you collect the information, you can kind of set that one to the side after you do your tax abatement notification. All of the information from the reports above are used in the annual financial report. It's kind of the umbrella. It is the big picture of everything that's going on in your community as far as the finances. What revenues are you bringing in? What expenditures are you taking out? Let's go on with some of the things that you can gather to get this information to finish these reports. First of all, you need to gather all of your bank accounts and your investments and make sure that they are all balanced and reconciled as of June 30. This is very important. If you are behind for any reason, you need to get this finished before you can start any of these reports. And when we say reconciled, we mean we know exactly how many dollars are outstanding checks and what your balance should be in each of your accounts. Many of you have many different funds within one checking account. So maybe you have a checking account and you put your general, your water, your sewer, your road use tax, your local option sales tax, all of that goes into one bank account, but you have it in separate funds on your accounting system, be it manual or computerized. So we want to make sure that all the general ledger accounts are also in balance with the check reconciliation. And remember to also include, in addition to your investments, you'll also need to include your petty cash and if you have any other resources that need to be included. For example, perhaps you have a utility that is run by a utility board, but you need to include them into your annual financial report or your financial statements. Again, you can look at old reports and see if that's the case. Or perhaps you have a different situation whereby you have a bank agent holding some money for you for a bond issue. You need to include that into your financial report. You need to identify all intergovernmental payments and receipts. Intergovernmental, for those that are very new, means money that's coming in or that you're paying out to another government, be it the federal government, the state government, or a local government. Now, I'm not talking about taxes here. So I'm not talking about the federal withholding or your FICA, your Medicare. Those things I'm not talking about, nor am I including pension in this. This is just payments for services that you're exchanging. For example, maybe you receive money from a township trustee because you are providing fire service to that area. Or maybe the county is giving you money because you provide library service for citizens that are outside of your city limits. Another example would be from money from the state or money to the state. Again, if you have an agreement, a 28E agreement, that you will do some street work instead of the state doing it, then there is going to be an intergovernmental relationship there. Another item that you're going to want to compile is a total of all the payroll which was paid during the fiscal year. That's going to include all employees, the mayor, the council, all your departments, the swimming pool kids, everything. And it's only from July 1 to June 30. Now, for some of you who may be doing another annual compliance, which is to publish gross wages of all the city employees, if you do that at this time, then you know what that total can be. You can get that work done, and then you just plop it into your annual financial report. If you choose to do that wage publication or that salary publication on a calendar year basis because you want to take the information off of the W-2 calculations, that's fine. You can just do that later, but you still have to be able to calculate all of the payroll that was paid during the fiscal year from July 1 of 17 to June 30 of 18. Now, on the other side of this slide, we're talking about bond issues and long-term notes. You'll need to know how much was outstanding, how much principal was outstanding for each issue. During the year, you're going to have to be able to total by issue how much was paid for principal and how much was paid for interest. If you added any debt, you'll have to know what type of debt you added and how much it was. So then at the end of the year, you can calculate the ending balance of that outstanding bond as of June 30 of 18. You'll be using that information in the annual financial report, but you can also use it in that state treasurer's outstanding obligation report. Same information, but it is a completely different format. To accommodate both of those formats, I've done a little spreadsheet that you can take a look at and just see how you might collect some of that information. You should be able to use the URL that you see on the screen. It's Debt Worksheet. So let's go on and find some other things that you can use for tools. You need a copy of last year's annual financial report. This report can be found on the state auditor's website. If you can't find it, you should be able to find it in your office. It's very important that you keep that because you're going to want to see what the beginning cash balances were on that report and compare them to what you think your beginning cash balances are by fund on your ledgers. You'll also need to know the last amended budget. Now, if you did not amend during the year, or if you cannot find the original budget, again, the Department of Management has an archive of the other budgets so that you can see what numbers you'll need to lay on to the annual financial report. Then we have 10 pages. It sounds like a lot, but it's really a great breakdown. But there are 10 pages of revenue and expenditure breakdowns that you're going to have. Most of you will be able to get this out of your computer, or if you do your books by hand, you'll be able to do it by aggregating certain accounts. So on the revenue side, for example, you'll need to know how many property taxes were collected. And that number is going to go in one area on the annual financial report. However, you're also going to need to know other breakdowns. How much did you receive in local option? How much did you receive in road use? How much did you receive in franchise fees? How much money did you get back from the state because of the backfill? All of those totals are going to be dispersed over the first 5 pages of the report. Then we get down to the expenditures, and we're going to have those breakdowns by fund again, but we're also going to have a breakdown by departments or objects. So you'll need to know overall how much police expense was in the general fund. Did you have any expense for the police department in the special revenue funds? So you'll have each of that breakdown for all of the programs that we have. And again, if you aren't sure how your accounts and your departments and your funds intersect on these annual financial report, we've given you a copy of the standard chart of accounts. So if you use that, you'll see where each of the fund and each of the objects fit into the annual financial report. And because the annual financial report is the same basic format as your budget report, then you'll know exactly what needs to go into each of those cells as well. That's about where we could take a stop here, because that is going to be quite an undertaking for you to get all of those things collected. But on the other hand, if you have them already collected and you're ready to move on, then by all means go to the next segment where we're going to talk about the annual financial report itself, as well as how to fill it out, because it's not page 1 through page 10. We skip around a little bit because some of the pages are just summary pages. I'll keep those kind of tools available for the next segment.